Listen, you smell something?
Human emotions are materializing in the form of a viscous psychoreactive plasm with explosive supernormal potential.
What a discovery, a psychoreactive substance.
Do you know what this equipment is used for?
Boggle or Super Mario Brothers?
We'll have fun!
They're still doing it. Really quite good work there.
My friend, don't be a jerk.
We've got no choice. Call the Ghostbusters.
Super Jackpot!
Welcome to Extraplasm Podcast. It's the only podcast on the internet that has temporarily declared the 27th floor room of a New York City Midtown hotel complex Extraplasm Central. I'm your host, Jim Maritato, aka Maniac on the internet, and if the podcast sounds a little different this week, it's because I've taken this show on the road to New York City to attend the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire Premiere, so if you hear the sounds of sirens and other things that are going on in the background, I am Times Square adjacent, and there's lots of things and it's New York City, so bear with us, because we're here on the road trying to make sure we get good coverage and good stories. But as you can imagine, I'm completely stoked about this and have been crazy about this as someone who is just going to see the movie early with a lot of friends in New York City and eat pizza and bagels and see the firehouse, but now I'm doing all of those things and attending the red carpet premiere as a media member alongside Jason Fitzsimmons of Ghostbusters News, who you all know is a regular contributor to Extraplasm and a great friend. And as you can imagine, this is pretty amazing and somewhat overwhelming, and my inner child has gone completely insane, as attending a Ghostbusters premiere is akin to unlocking the long-lost FAO Schwarz inside my heart. But to have the opportunity to cover it and create content and share it with folks is beyond crazy in my expectations of what could have happened. And I'm so incredibly grateful to Sony Pictures, to Ghost Corps, to Jason at GB News. And it goes without saying that I'm also excited to be there on the ground with our friends at Yes Have Some Podcast, whose Firehouse Fridays series is now up and running on their YouTube channel. So go check that out if you haven't already. They made slime and it's screen used. It's crazy. But in all seriousness, part of why I get to be here and to cover this and to bring you stories about it and collaborate with Jason is because of the time you all as listeners have dedicated to bringing me into your ears and your weekly routine. Who have become a growing community of people that I get to interact with, who interact with each other, who coexist with our friends and like-minded ghost media, if you will. And so thank you to everyone who helped to make this possible. I hope to repay you with some amazing content and coverage in the weeks to come as, we get things produced and get to see what we're going to get to do and access on the red carpet, etc. But there's stories to come, and I'm happy to share them with you. It just happens to be the night, before some of that's going to kick off with Yes Have Some hosting an event on Wednesday, and then the premiere on Thursday. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, as the episode comes out, I am here in town and will be here in town for the next few days. If you're around the firehouse, you may run into me. If you're obviously at the premiere, you may run into me. And if you do, feel free to say hi, say hello, let me know you're listening. I might even have something to hand you as you can take home and be like, wow, I have one of those now, and that's cool. It's not one of an RC trap, I promise. They're not like in a backpack on my back. But you might get, something cool to take home and say, hey, I met Jim and got to support Extraplasm. And I just have little pocket gifts to give to people who've been fans of the podcast. So if you run into me, say hi. But beyond that, what are we doing on Extraplasm this week since the premiere hasn't happened yet and I'm holed up somewhere in the vicinity of Times Square? Well, our friends Matt Zunich and Miguel Medina joined me this past week just before I left town to sit down and tell us what they have in store for the month ahead to celebrate Frozen Empire back on the West Coast. Since there's no known Sony event yet, it was analogous to the friends and family screening that we went to previously. The LA Ghostbusters have some pretty cool events you may want to check out of their own, and I won't spoil what they have in store, but we'll get into that conversation with Matt and Miguel in a few minutes. What we have to do first is we've got to get into some Ghostbusters headlines.
Still making headlines all across the country, the Ghostbusters are at it again.
Today, the entire eastern seaboard is alive with talk of incidents of paranormal activity.
Call-in topic today, ghosts and ghost busting.
Extraplasm, read all about it. Ghostbusters headlines coming at you.
Fair warning, there's a lot going on in Ghostbusters headlines this week once again, because we are tracking towards the movie, and you may encounter some, some spoilers, obviously, at this point, because we're this close to the movie by listening to headlines this week. And of course, we may encounter some sirens and other noise because we did just watch some police activity go by. And though I am very high up above the city right now, I'm still hearing a lot of stuff down below me because that's New York. But it's really great to be here. And it's so nice to be back in the place where I came from and, reconnect. So let's do the news. I feel like I'm a news person in New York now. Lots of Ghostbusters media came out this week in terms of stuff that Sony released. There's several behind the scenes clips that you can go and check out. Easy way to access them, obviously, is to go to Ghostbusters News and find them. But, a few movies of the clips of the movie came out and a few behind the scenes clips came out. One clip that came out is the Ghostbusters chasing down the sewer dragon in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So we've been talking about the sewer dragon for some time. This is a clip of them chasing it down in the car. I'm going to tell you honestly, I haven't watched these because I got to a point where I said I want to not spoil this for myself. So I'm not going to give you big descriptions of these as much as I'm going to say. If you want to see these, go watch them. They're out there. So one of these are out there is obviously this video of them chasing down the sewer dragon. There's a clip out there that's a scene of apparently Kumail Nanjiani is going to wear the classic colander helmet from the first Ghostbusters movie that Louis Tully wears when he comes in, and they do like weird spectral analysis of him, and the image of a terror dog shows up on some sort of weird tube television in some odd way that we can see the spirits of, who's inside of a ghost or who's possessing somebody as long as they're wearing the helmet. So maybe we're going to get our first glimpse of a ghost in this movie, or the big bad, because we're going to see them inside of Kumail's brains. Who knows? But that's available for you to go check out. Another clip that they put out is a behind the scenes featurette about Slimer's return in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And another behind the scenes look that is of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire's Raise a Cult book set. These are clips that you can go and find out on Ghostbusters social media, meaning the Ghostbusters official channel. But again, you can find them really easily by going to Ghostbusters News. It's a really easy place to find those. Another piece of partnered up media that came out this week is obviously Yes Have Some had their release of their first Firehouse Friday series video. And you can find that over on the Yes Have Some podcast YouTube channel. Really easily, or YHS Podcast on Instagram. I know it's up there as a reel for sure. Really fun video where they had the opportunity to make slime. Craig hinted about this when he was on the podcast last week, and had this whole situation where they got to create slime that apparently Pukey eventually will puke out, and is a screen used slime. They can say that they made it. They know the recipe. They know what's involved. So I think they can just make this for everybody now. Like they should just release this official Yes Have Some original recipe slime. If you hear me, Craig, if you're listening, you should totally figure out how to monetize that. It's a great idea. Everybody can then replace the missing ectoplasm from their Kenner Firehouse playset with official YHS slime that they learned how to make on the set, and that would be awesome. So if you're listening, again, do this. It's a great idea. But I digress. Really cool video you should go check out. And again, they're going to have a new video every Friday over on their channel, so you should totally go and take a look at that. If you're not liking and subscribing them over on YouTube and following them on Instagram and other places, you should be, because there's going to be a lot of great content coming out. And one of the things they're going to be doing while all of this red carpet stuff is going on is going to be live streaming. So if you want to watch, what's going on down at the premiere as if you were watching, an Oscar award show, except it's run by three people who run the greatest toy award show on, YouTube called the Jeffries, then you should absolutely go and follow Yes Have Some for sure, because they're going to be doing live coverage of the premiere. They're going to have everything going on that they can capture. They're going to be showing to folks. So go and check out Yes Have Some podcast if you haven't already. See the clips they've got up. See what's going to be coming, this week in a couple days, and then check out the Firehouse Friday series as it continues, because it's pretty amazing the stuff that they got to shoot. Other partnered media that's promoting Ghostbusters Empire, Adam Savage had another opportunity to, share video footage from his visit to the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire set, and he got to tour the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire Firehouse. You can find this over on the Tested YouTube channel. He tours the Firehouse, apparently meets McKenna Grace. They get to sit down and talk about some of her favorite details of the set. And, they talk about prop making and what have you. Again, this is a thing I've avoided watching. So I'm telling you things are out there and you're like, Jim, what kind of reporting is this? You're not actually giving us any details. I agree. I'm going to watch all of this stuff Friday, more Saturday when I'm on the plane going home and feeling sad that it's over. I'm going to sit down and binge all of this stuff and then be like, wow, that's how they did that. But I'm trying to keep myself a modicum of spoiler free at this point to go into this movie and enjoy that without having to sort of talk about, how everything was made before I see it. But you should go check this out if you want to see it. If you want to see it after the movie comes out, it's something that's out there for you. Additional partnerships that are happening in terms of Ghostbusters media are now spreading into things like commercials. There is a Ghostbusters Frozen Empire Mini Puffs Chaos Liberty Mutual commercial. So if you ever wanted to know, who insures the Ghostbusters, apparently it's Liberty Mutual. They're the folks who are like, yep, we're willing to deal with this because of the paranormal. You can check out the commercial over on Ghostbusters News. Jason's reshared it, and it's really easy to access. And it's pretty funny. It's a bunch of mini puffs going crazy in the city, and Liberty Mutual, kind of comes to the rescue. So check it out. It's something that's, quick, easy access, and just one of those cool, branding activation kinds of things that, cross collaborates and creates some fun in other environments where you wouldn't otherwise see it. I will tell you that while I was visiting my parents in New England, I was hunting for Rice Krispie treats and Fritos or Cheetos rather, because I was hoping to run into them in the random rural grocery stores that my parents found the Ghostbusters cereal years ago before anybody else did. But I struck out. So keep your eyes peeled for those things still. A couple other food items that are coming out in terms of Ghostbusters merchandise and Ghostbusters merch news. Cineworld has announced that they will be having a Ghostbusters lemon and Slimer icy flavor. So people have been trying to figure out some of the different icy flavors that are going to be dedicated to different theaters and things. And apparently there's going to be a promotion for folks in the UK. Cineworld Cinemas will have a mini mallow and lemon and Slimer versions of icy, so you can check those out if you're over in the UK. And apparently the lemon and Slimer may be UK exclusive, as my understanding. In popcorn bucket news, which never seems to end, the Ghostbusters Ecto-1 that was featured for Afterlife has been redone, and we had previously talked about it as being available at Harkins theaters. In fact, this is now a new Frozen Empire Ecto-1 that's been done with the new paint lines and has been cleaned up so it doesn't have the fake rust paint on it, but it's no longer just at Harkins. It was apparently also available at Regal, and they announced it and popped it up on their website the other day out of nowhere, and everybody went, whoa, that's amazing. It's now sold out, but I will say that they have restocked also and then sold out again on the Firehouse popcorn tin that we talked about last week. So keep your eye on these websites. Like, they may be running out of stock or they may be getting more of it. And if you remember last time with Afterlife, we all thought they were sold out of the Ecto-1 buckets. They were like, we're done. That's over. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, we're going to restock and sell a lot more of them. And some people bought way too many of them and were like, I can flip those on the internet, and then found out, no, you can't, because supply and demand is not in your control. It's in the control of the popcorn bucket people. So if you want to pick up an Ecto-1 that opens and closes, it's exactly the same mold as the one they had for Afterlife. Keep your eye on the Regal website if you're outside of the Harkins market, because the Harkins market is essentially like Arizona, a couple theaters in California, I think like one in Colorado or something. But keep in mind that, these are limited edition things. If you want to grab them, don't wait too long. When you see them in stock, get them. Along the same lines, Cineplex in Canada has announced they're going to be covering a variant of the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire Slimer popcorn tub that came out from Cinemark. This one is exactly the same in terms of the Slimer mold, except the little tin or rather bag that he holds that said Cinemark on it that was red is in the Cineplex version blue and has the Cineplex logo on it. So now if you are a completist, you will need two of the same bucket with different bags that Slimer is holding, because otherwise you won't be able to have your red versus blue Slimer popcorn competition. So if you're in Canada, Cineplex will apparently carry that. And Ghostbusters News has the news on this. You can go take a look at the article and check that out. Outside of popcorn bucket news, additional Ghostbusters merchandise news includes that Timberland has unveiled their Ghostbusters Frozen Empire collaboration. And as Ghostbusters News reports on this, there are a number of different options available for you. There's a set of premium 6-inch wheat nubuck boots that are apparently built upon Timberland's outdoor heritage and infused with toughness and style from the streets of New York City. They look kind of like, brown boots that have hilariously caution stripe laces, which I love. And it looks like almost they have, this sort of this appeal to them where they look like hiking boots that a Ghostbuster would have to wear to go, like, I don't know, chase through the urban outskirts, the suburban outskirts, the outer city where there's some foliage to actually run through. So these are kind of nice. They are fully waterproof boots. They have hazard tape inspired laces, 2 interchangeable hang tags for Ecto-1 license plates with the Ghostbusters logo, and a Ghostbusters heat debossed icon or logo on the collar of them. There's also a New York City subway map printed on the footbed and the Ghostbusters logo embossed on the tongue of them. There's also a set of glow-in-the-dark nubuck, black nubuck boots with camo. These are the iconic Timberland boots transformed into the ultimate ghost-chasing waterproof boot. These are amazing. They are crazy. They're black and have like glowing green soles when they glow in the dark. They're pretty amazing. I mean, I don't know how much they glow in the dark when you run around all the time. If you turn them on, they have lights in them. Doesn't seem to be the deal. But they have glow-in-the-dark laces, an outsole, and a hang tag that says, I ain't afraid of no ghost. And they have a lot of slime accents to them. So these are pretty cool, kind of fun. You can go check these out over on the Timberland website. You can check them out at Ghostbusters News for sure. And I have to say, at a Ghostbusters footwear, I've seen a bit, and you all know how I feel about the Reeboks. These are way better. These are something I would be more inclined to be like, hey, I could put those on my feet and enjoy that, as opposed to those weird pink Slime Reeboks, I'm never going to get over them. This podcast is never going to get featured with anything with Reebok ever. I'm sorry, everybody. In Ghostbusters video game news, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire cosmetics are coming to Destiny 2, and it's a game I have never played, so I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that I have very little understanding of what that might mean. Jason Fitzsimmons has the news on this, and he notes that a press release has yet to be published, but in an aptly timed microtransaction tie-in to promote the upcoming sequel, from what's been shown, offerings include a horned-up sparrow influenced by Garaka, a ghost shell themed after Slimer, and what appears to be a skimmer modeled after the iconic Ecto-1. And I'm going to guess the skimmer is the thing that looks kind of like, a hovercraft, a spaceship, but it looks like the Ecto-1 is like a Cadillac merged with a spaceship and can fly. This is pretty cool. I don't know anything about Destiny 2. You might. That's why I'm telling you this. If you're, why are you covering this thing you don't know anything about? Because this is what we do here. It's video game news, and while the one video game we all know I've played like 60 days worth of hours on is Spirits Unleashed, and that's why I would love to hear there's some sort of Spirits Unleashed pack coming for this new movie coming out next week that I'm going to see in 2 days. The thing we're talking about right now is this Destiny thing that I don't know about. So if you know more about Destiny than I do, you don't need to email me and tell me how much I didn't know about Destiny 2. But if you play Destiny 2, get ready, because March 19th, there is an activation coming within their ecosystem where you will have the ability to, it looks like, fly around in an Ecto-1 and maybe pilot a Slimer that shoots fire out of its mouth. I'm not really sure. You're going to have to go look at Ghostbusters news to figure out what this is and tell me maybe. Like, just don't do it meanly. Don't be like, how could you not know this? But if you want to fill me in and be like, dude, the fire coming out of his mouth is because it's actually like some sort of weird battleship. All right, I'll take your advice. In Ghostbusters food merch news, apparently Gustavo Gusto, a German-based frozen pizza brand, has created the greatest frozen pizza box I've ever seen in my life. It has the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire logo on one side, and it has a pepperoni pizza on the other side. And apparently they are making a New York-style pizza that is branded with Ghostbusters. It has pepperoni, salami, and double cheese, so I can't eat it because I don't eat meat. But it is the most cool frozen pizza box that anyone has ever designed so far. Like, if we get a better one in the United States, I'm going to freak out because we know at this point, pretty sure Slimer eats some pizza in this movie. And, I love pizza. You know this. I make pizza. It's very important to me. There's a really great pizza box out there. And if you want to see the announcement that they made, they actually posted a short teaser video featuring a caution-striped wrapped freezer to announce their pizza, which is just hilarious because everything Ghostbusters must be caution-striped. That's how it works, even when you're releasing pizza. So, Gustavo Gusto, good job. I've never eaten your pizza. I don't live in Germany. If you're a Ghostbusters fan out there who's in Germany, if you're Die Geisterjäger, maybe you can hook me up with a frozen pizza box. That would be awesome. And also, Die Geisterjäger, I know you're in New York. Say hi to me when you see me, because I've never met you people, and I need you to build me like a house just full of Ghostbusters props that all activate and do things when I push buttons, because you're amazing. Okay, beyond Ghostbusters food news, let's talk about apparel for a second. Ghostbusters tees are coming back to Fright Rags with two of their most awesome designs featuring Slimer returning for sale on March 15th. So that is essentially the day after the premiere happens on Friday. If you want to check these out, these are really cool. One of them is purple and has like the real Ghostbusters Slimer holding a trap that's smoking. And the other one is like a throwback design to like the 80s. That's really awesome. It has Slimer flying away from the Ecto-1, essentially losing his grip on burgers and hot dogs. These are classic reprints that are officially licensed from Fright Rags, not Fright Lags. That would be weird. Fright Lags is what happens when you get too scared and you slow down. But Fright Rags is going to be offering these for $30 individually. They're really awesome shirts. They're things that I've missed out on in the past. So I will probably pick these up as somebody who's been, missed out on Fright Rag shirts and then goes, why did I just get caught, slipping on those? Like, why did I not do that? One final piece of Ghostbusters headlines news that you can go take a look at this week that's kind of fun, but not necessarily directly licensed. You may recall that Matt Cardona was coming out to the ring at Game Changer Wrestling's pay-per-view, dressed as a Ghostbuster. He was the Deathmatch Buster, I believe. And he came out with Ecto-1NJ, our friends Nick and Greg, who were the valet for Matt Cardona at that event. And at that event, he was completely dressed up as a Ghostbuster and was doing the shtick of essentially fighting in a ripped up flight suit. Well, it turns out that his wife, WWE superstar Chelsea Green, has revealed a new set of wrestling attire that is essentially a two-piece outfit with elbow singlets or armlets. I'm going to get that wrong, and a bunch of you who watch wrestling regularly are going to tell me about it, and I'm sorry. But it is essentially her take on a slimed black flight suit. It looks like she's got a Ghostbusters name tape, sort of on one side of her top. And then she's got slime accents. And of course, she has a caution stripe around the waist. You can go check this out. It's really funny and really awesome. And it's really great to see Chelsea Green sort of getting into this as well, alongside Matt Cardona, who's, a known, awesome, huge Ghostbusters fan alongside being a cool professional wrestler. So you can go check out Chelsea Green over on Instagram and social media to go take a look at this. It's kind of awesome. I hope we get to see her in action in it because it's a really cool gear. So hopefully we'll get to see that, pretty soon in the in WWE, and that would be great. Really fun. Okay, so that about wraps up headlines for this week. I know it's a quick rundown and maybe a little brief in terms of what we're covering, and there's a lot going on. But again, I'm a little displaced and in the middle of a hotel room and about to go try and find some food. So we're going to cut here from headlines and jump into my conversation with Matt Zunich and Miguel Medina from the LA Ghostbusters, who have so much to tell us about in terms of what's going on the West Coast. So if you're back home and you're bummed out, you're not going to the premiere, and you want to figure out what you can do, stay tuned because there's a lot more to come after this. Joining me on Extraplasm Podcast, coming back as the hometown heroes of Los Angeles, regular contributors to the podcast, and great supporters of Starlight Foundation, and of course representatives of Ghostbusters, as awesome as I've been using the term, fan ambassadors, Miguel Medina and Matt Zunich. How are you doing?
Hey, pretty good.
Hey, what's up, Jim? Happy to be back.
I'm happy to have you back, and I was just thinking about this, that only you are back, because this is Miguel's first trip through the Extraplasm tunnel, so if that's a thing. Whoa. How was the tunnel on the way here? Was it full of traffic?
I hit my head on the way in, so there's that. No, it was good. Traffic was okay, surprisingly.
Yeah, I meant to warn you about that. Yeah.
There's a lot of marine ectos running on that river of slime in the tunnel, so most people thought it was going to be a tunnel full of cars, but it's not. Yeah. It's actually like Willy Wonka's boat tunnel that comes here.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure extraplasm.
As long as it's not that it's not as bad as the Willy Wonka experience in England. That was or where was it? Scotland.
Yeah, it was Germany.
Ooh.
I thought it was Scotland. That was in Glasgow.
That's Glasgow. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm wrong.
That's why all the awesome social media clips are of Scottish people who are like, yes, they were having some sort of Willy Wonka experience and it was awful.
Sean Connery, what are you doing here?
If you weren't clear, that impression was awful, also awful. But we're starting out this episode of Extraplasm on a weird footing, but that's fine.
No, we're getting into it. That's good.
I'm glad you're back, Matt, and I'm glad you're here, Miguel, because it's been a while since we've had a chance to chat, and there's a lot going on with the new movie about to drop. The premiere's happening this week, obviously, and then we've got the movie following up in terms of its actual release proper, and franchises, of course, are coming out to do the things they're doing. And while the two of you are not going to the premiere, you definitely have some things in the works that we're going to talk about as we all work to celebrate things. And so I'm kind of looking at you right now as like the West Coast opportunity to celebrate Frozen Empire until someone turns around and says, we're doing something from Sony.
Well, as we know from our experience with the Sony screening of Afterlife, if there is an official thing, we will know about it literally 2 to 3 days before it happens. And that's not an indictment. Like they're clearly very busy, and we understand. But it does seem that like these things come up at the last minute, and there's this expectation that you guys will just drop everything and come to it, right? And it's like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's how it works. You know? But I mean, I'm also wondering, like, they're doing a premiere event for cast and crew in the UK the week after the one they're doing in New York City. And so I'm kind of wondering if there's going to be a friends and family screening again on the West Coast, given that they're doing a cast and crew one over there. You know, we'll see, I guess. But
yeah, I really wonder, because I don't think a lot was picked up over here. Like, I know they did a lot of pickup shots and reshoots here in LA with Afterlife, and I don't necessarily know if they did as much of that over here. They did a lot of second unit in New York, but the bulk of photography was all done in the UK. So
Right. And I believe there were some reshoots that maybe happened in Atlanta, like as well. So but and if not reshoots, just I don't know. I always look, are they reshoots? They just shoots. Who knows? They're just things that they shot.
Yeah.
But we'll see if it happens. But I also wanted to ask you this just sort of before we jump into things. Like, are you excited about the fact that Jason Reitman and this group of investors have bought the Fox Westwood? Because I'm totally stoked about it.
I'm really excited to see that because it was so cool to see like so many like influential filmmakers all came together to buy that very historic theater. And, we were so lucky to be able to go and see Afterlife at that theater with Jason and his late father.
We sat in Ivan's Row.
We did.
We
were literally like 2 to 3 people down from them.
Yes.
I remember one of our members, Jesse, just leaning over during the movie, looking to see like, how are they reacting to their own movie? And apparently, according to him, he said that like Ivan was just enjoying it, but Jason was like very studious, like still looking for flaws as it was going. And I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that they bought that theater. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. I'm really excited about it. Miguel, your feelings on making sure that that's really the reason they bought it, right? Was so that way we could forever know we can go back to the place we saw the premiere. But how do you feel about it?
I mean, they are a rarity. I mean, they're a treasure. It's like we don't have that many iconic theaters like that. Landmark. I don't know if it has landmark status or anything, but I love those old movie houses. I was actually just at the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood. They reopened in November, and I loved going there. I'd go there for almost 10 years, and I just admire it. It's just got charm. It has something that lacks from modern movie theaters that are just, they're kind of cookie cutter. I mean, sure, they're state of the art or whatever, but they just don't have the same personality, charm, attraction, that appeals to me at least, and other fans of films and the experience of seeing the movie on screen. And plus, they really encourage and support film, showing the movies on film, not just digital. So it's like, oh, this is what it was like, when that movie came out, 70, 60 years ago. It's like, oh, it just looks so vibrant and bright. It's like, it just nothing compares to film.
Oh, I agree. And I think, like, I don't know, I'm personally, of course, I'm going to say that theater has an important value to me because we got to see that movie there at the time we got to see it. And it was like the thing we all got to come out of COVID with. It was like, hey, we get to be in a room together. We got to wear masks. We can watch this movie. This is amazing. But like, I think about the idea that what you just sort of said is that this idea that old school movie houses are kind of fading away. And as much as I love that Afterlife screening with this sort of family and friends audience, one of the most moving moments from watching Afterlife for me was seeing it at the TCL theater, which of course used to be known as like Grauman's Chinese theater, where tons of other premieres are happening, and on the giant IMAX there. And it was the first time I've ever seen a movie there, believe it or not. Like, of all the time I've lived around LA, I'd never been to that theater to go see anything. And that like made me like in my seat weep. It's like the size and magnitude of that screen and being at that event. Right. And that was also like Jason was doing a Q&A on the floor there that was being broadcast out to these other theaters and stuff at the time beforehand. So it was like this very weirdly different, like non-intimate moment, because it wasn't the sort of intimacy of being inside the premiere theater that you expect from like the sort of Fox Westwood Village theater, where it was like, this is an old room. Instead, it was like, this is an old room made totally state of the art with enormous IMAX theater where it feels like the entire building's going to crumble as Gozer's temple emerges from the side of a wall. And like, it's just was so overwhelming, but it was also like, I'll never see that movie the same way again, like in another place, because sort of the historic magnitude of it, but also the way they've integrated technology into it. So I'm kind of interested to see like what this investment group will do to modernize the tech available over there, and sort of, as much as we love seeing things on film, to be able to see, like what if they were to retrofit that theater and make it another IMAX? It would be like, whoo, that would be awesome. So
pretty cool.
Yeah. So anyway, the sort of a sidetrack. We've talked about lots of things so far in the first 7 or 8 minutes of Extraplasm that have nothing to do with Ghostbusters. We're doing a great job on being on schedule and on task and on topic, but it's good to talk to you.
We're getting there.
So,
Yeah. Well, it's good to talk to you too.
We're running red lights. It's fine.
Yes.
So I want to talk with you a bit. Obviously, you have an event coming up we're going to get into, but I just also wanted to sort of talk to you a bit for a couple of minutes about Starlight Foundation stuff, because I think it's great that you have been supporting them for so long and that you're continuing to partner with them about things. And recently, Extraplasm did a series of, like, I wanted to call them charity auctions, but they weren't. They were just buy it nows on the internet, on eBay, that we sort of threw towards Starlight Foundation, which was awesome. But how is that going for you all? You're still maintaining that partnership and still working with them and continuing that after the hospital gown drive that you were doing?
Yeah, we still are moving forward with them and doing as much as we can for them. We just had a bunch of very successful fundraiser events coming out of the fall and the winter with 2 PlayStations that were donated to us from Sony. And we were able to raise, I think we got to like $7,000 or $8,000 at Scum and Villainy. Yeah, it was really, really remarkable. And that was without one of our big donors being there that night. Like, one of the donors that typically comes out to Scum and Villainy, he was not there that night. So we still got a fairly large amount. And then when we went to LA Comic Con, like most conventions were, we usually do between $300 to $500 for the weekend in donations. Right. And if it's like a really good event, maybe like $800. That's like your WonderCon or LA Comic Con. But this one, it was almost like $1,300. It was like blew it out of the water. And so they're still very happy with us. We're still very happy to be working with them. We do have another initiative with them that has not been officially announced, but it has been in the works. It is in the same level of the gowns. I kind of want to wait until that's a little bit more solidified until we officially announce it, but it is coming. We've been fundraising for this initiative since we last spoke, had a big meeting with them in, I believe, September. So the goal is still another $40,000, of which we are already between $10,000 and $12,000 into already. So
nice.
Yeah, we're not sweating it too much.
I'm just going to take guesses. I'm going to take guesses at what it is. You're going to redress an entire children's hospital ward as a Ghostbusters firehouse.
Jim, I just want to know, who did you talk to? Who leaked it? Miguel, was it you?
I didn't say anything. It's the first I hear of this.
No, that sounds really cool. I would love to see that happen. But no, it will definitely be in the same vein as the gowns.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's going to be that every kid gets a proton pack that also shoots medicine.
Oh, see, now that's an idea. We better get our lawyers on the line. Let's patent it and package it and slap it on a plastic lunchbox.
You're replacing all of the infrared thermometers inside the children's wards with shells that contain the infrared thermometer but look like PKE meters. That's
exactly it. That's exactly it.
You're having hologate installations in 15 hospitals.
Your valences are off the chart. Also, you have a temperature of 101. So let's get you some asprin.
That would be weird. It was like all of a sudden it became like the tricorder in Star Trek, where you could just, it detects people's anatomy now. That's what it does. It's a magic scanning device that does all kinds of things. It's no longer about PKE. It's about whatever you want. Yeah. Well, it is a taser.
This is why you shouldn't let nerds run the world. We will turn everything into a sci-fi reference.
Hey, I just figured out another one. It's actually, you're going to replace crash carts with shocking taser mode PKE meters.
Yes. That's exactly what's going to happen. I'm very excited about it.
Clear.
The defibrillators?
Yeah. It's the PKE defibrillation machine.
Oh, man.
All right, you're not really doing any of these things, and whatever you're doing is way better, I'm sure. But
it'll definitely be, like I said, same vein as the hospital gown.
So, as I said earlier, you guys are kind of, in my mind, you're the hometown heroes because you are the folks who live nearest to me and who I hang out with the most when we get together and do Ghostbusters charity things and meetups and stuff. And you are in very much the same vein as going to be the folks who, to some extent, help to ring in so much of what's going on with Frozen Empire, with the comic book that's coming out soon. There's an event that you guys are kind of involved in too. So, I wanted to talk with you a bit about what you have coming up down the pike for folks and sort of give you the opportunity to tell folks who might be out in California on the West Coast, like maybe you can't get to a premiere. We don't know if there's going to be a friends and family screening. And if there is, like last time, like you're not kidding when you said it was like 2 days before. And the way that process worked was these tickets are on a website, go get them. And they were gone in like about an hour. So celebrating Frozen Empire on the West Coast with a big event may not be the thing that happens, but you are certainly providing a whole bunch of stuff that's going on over the next few weeks. So I definitely want to check in with you about it and talk a bit about it. So what do you got going on? What's happening over the next few weeks?
Well, by the time this episode airs, we will have done one event, but the next one coming up will be the Hermosa Beach St. Patrick's Day Parade, where if folks want to come out, Hermosa Beach is, down here in Southern California. In that St. Patrick's Day Parade, you will see a couple of Ghostbusters walking alongside our Ecto tribute vehicles. So, if people want to start getting in the mood for Ghostbusters while also, feeling the luck of the Irish, come on down and check us out in that.
It's funny you say this because you just reminded me that the last thing I was doing before COVID happened was prepping for a St. Patrick's Day parade.
Funny enough, so were we.
So were you, right?
Yeah.
And I just yesterday found all of the luck of the Irish Ghostbusters patches I had bought that were like shamrocks that had Moogly in the middle of them, and the Ireland flag version of it. And I was like, why do I have these? And I was like, oh, right. And then I realized in the closet, I actually have a small leprechaun doll and a cage that I was going to carry as a trapped leprechaun along with my ghost trap in the parade. And I was like, oh, this will be awesome. I'll have a little leprechaun and he'll be trapped and I'll have a ghost trap and it'll be like, we trapped the leprechaun because it's about folklore and stuff. And I've never gotten to use it. I realized that for 4 years now, I have an unused gimmick.
Well, there you go. Now you have your opportunity.
Like you got to put that to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come down and join us.
Except I won't be around on the 17th because I'll still be coming back from somewhere else.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Is that public knowledge where you're going to be?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we talked about this last week on the podcast that I'm going to be in New York for the premiere, and so I won't quite be back. Or actually, I'll probably be back, but I will be totally exhausted and unable to function.
Yeah.
And way loaded on carbs from pizza and bagels and all kinds of things. So, realistically, I probably won't make it out to that St. Patrick's Day parade. Instead, I'll be fleeing the one in New York. I've realized
Fair enough.
The day I leave New York is the day the St. Patrick's Day parade happens in New York. So I'm like, try not to
get to the airport early.
Yeah, try not to fight any drunken Irish hooligans. And I don't mean actual Irish hooligans. I mean people who just come out and they're like, kiss me, bro. I'm Irish. Listen, I got my mother's maiden name is McDonald.
I swear I'm Irish.
I think they just call those New Yorkers.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Actually, no, those are Staten Islanders.
To be clear, I am one of those. I'm an Irish Italian New Yorker who transplanted himself in California. I have a deep love for these people, but I will also flee from them when I need to go to the airport.
You're not alone, my friend. So the next event we have, and this is one that by the time this podcast airs will have been announced. If people want to come to a somewhat early screening of Frozen Empire, they can come to the AMC 16 in Burbank on Thursday, March 21st. We will be there from 2 o'clock through 8 o'clock. We'll be doing prized raffles. We'll be hopefully giving out some other prizes, some stickers, some posters, and we'll be checking all the theaters, making sure that everybody is going into Frozen Empire haunt-free. We can't guarantee the results afterwards because, the movie. But then if people want to stick around, we will be attending the 9 p.m. screening. Tickets are on sale. You can join us at that 9 o'clock screening. watch the new Ghostbusters movie, Frozen Empire, with the Los Angeles Ghostbusters. It's going to be a heck of a time.
So, and if they want to come out to that, they don't need to buy tickets from you. They're just buying them from the movie theater and coming out, correct?
Just buy them on Fandango. You can get them on AMC's website. I believe you can also buy them on Sony's website.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't buy them from random people on PayPal, friends and family.
No.
No, there'll be so many of us that we're going to turn it into an actual 4D experience. So, yeah.
So initially we were trying to reserve we were trying to have a private screening for charity, and we had to commit to a 75 ticket purchase, like 75 seats. And we were like, I don't know if we could, we could probably fill a good chunk of that, but I don't know if we could book all of that, and we would still have to pay for it regardless. And after looking at the sign-up sheet for all of the members and their plus ones that are coming, I was like, we probably could have filled it. But it's going to be really fun regardless. We're going to have the containment unit there. We're going to try to plus it up with a little frosting in celebration of Frozen Empire. And we're working with the staff at AMC 16 in Burbank. They're really wonderful. And we're going to provide a really, really great experience for guests.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The good news is that if you need to bust anything that's loose in the theater and you run out of equipment, you'll just need to leap over the snack bar counter to grab yourself a ghost trap to fix the problem, right?
That's if they haven't sold out.
You know, what's funny is they're not going for sale until March 24th on the website. And I heard they weren't going to go on sale until probably the 21st when you're going to be going at the AMC theater. Like they're not offering them, but
interesting.
I just saw that somebody out there is actually got the trap and there's 2 different drink cups with the marshmallow mini guys, the mini puffs. There's 2 different cups with the straw coming out of their head that are in their shapes as opposed to one, and they're different expressions on them. So if you happen to be there and they have those, I'm good for that. Feel free to grab me a trap and a couple cups.
We'll do what we can. We'll do what we can.
But I mean, I'm kidding. But like, I realistically mean, if you are going out to that, I think that some of the theaters are going to have those available before they're online, like as the movie tickets are available and things. So you may be able to get those when you go out to those. We'll see.
Oh, so. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what you need the trap for, is you got to bust the popcorn. It's a weird concept, right? Like, how did that popcorn get in the trap? Like, arguably they put it in there when you buy it, but it would be kind of funny if they just shipped it with the popcorn in it, and then you opened it up and you thought it was ghost popcorn that somehow got caught from some haunted movie theater. I'd be into that.
It's the popcorn from the deleted Afterlife scene.
Put it like Jiffy Pop.
Oh yeah, there you go.
You just put the trap over a hot flame on the burner on the stove, and it'll just explode.
Yeah. Remember Jiffy Pop? You had like a flashback as to being a child before a time when my parents had a microwave, and that was the way that they would make popcorn, was on a stove. And then we got a microwave, and I don't think anybody's done that since. Have you?
That's the only way I make popcorn now.
But in the Jiffy Pop?
No, but they still sell them.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Is I'm wondering who, like, I totally make popcorn in the stove too, but I'm like, do people still use Jiffy Pop? It's an interesting idea. I don't know.
I've seen it. Yeah, they still have them. I have the popcorn kit, that thing that you pour it in, you pour the salt or whatever. I figured it out. I know where to get the good stuff to make it the perfect flavor. That's the only way I make it. I can't go back to microwave popcorn.
No, I admittedly am not a huge fan of microwave popcorn either. I like it the other way better, but I just did wonder. I'm like, when was the last time I've actually seen any Jiffy Pop? And you've got me like, the podcast has derailed into Jiffy Pop world. It's going to be my spinoff podcast is all about Jiffy Pop and nothing else. And then
Extra Poppin' podcast.
Jiffyplasm.
Yeah. So after the screening on Thursday, the 21st, that following Sunday, the 24th, we'll be back at Scum and Villainy Cantina, our home away from home, for a full Ghostbusters day where guests can come in, they can play games, they can participate in trivia, which I will be writing the trivia yet again. And Jim, I'm so sorry, but you cannot participate in trivia this year because you've won too many times. And
I've only won once. I came in second one time and I won once, but
you're
that's
too
fine.
good at your job. You're too good at your job.
It's fine.
You can play, but you can't win.
I'll tell you what, Jim, we'll get you a drink. First round is on the house.
It's fine. I understand. I understand and recognize that I represent a significant threat to the competitive equity of Ghostbusters trivia because of my amazing prowess, and that you fear me so much that you can't allow me to participate. But don't worry, because friend of the podcast, JD Raymer, is going to come and win anyway.
Oh boy!
So, and I'm putting that out there now.
It's a showdown at the Scum and Villainy.
So for those of you who are out there and plan on seeing Frozen Empire opening weekend, if you see Frozen Empire opening weekend and you decide that you want to come down to Scum and Villainy, remember to bring your ticket stub or bring the receipt on your phone to show the bartenders, because you will get 10% off your drinks. Yes, if you show your ticket stubs. JC, the owner of Scum and Villainy, is super excited to celebrate Frozen Empire with the fan community and with us, and we're super excited to be back. And there's going to be more special drinks, I think some special food items as well. So we are very, very excited to come back on the 24th.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to throw this in there real quick because I get to talk about your event and not be affiliated with you. Because why would I want to do that, you people? I'm kidding. But I mean, like, I come to your event, even though I come and compete in trivia and try to win things. Like, I come and hang out with you all. I have a great time every time I come out to your Scum and Villainy events. Like, there's a reason I come out to them, and it's not because I'm like, I'm going to win trivia. It's because I get to hang out with you all and see you all. And there's so much fun to be had there. If you live in the LA area and you've never been out to Scum and Villainy, or a Ghostbusters event, or for anything else, like, it is a cool nerd bar that is like designed to be like a Star Wars cantina. That was essentially like a pop-up that existed on Hollywood Boulevard, like, and eventually was so beloved that it stayed. It was supposed to be a temporary pop-up, and it's been there now for years. They have great food, they have great drinks. The bartenders are totally cool and like make some of the best cocktails that you can like have in a bar, let alone being nerdy. And everybody there is so laid back and chill, and it's like a great environment to come out and nerd out. And I have talked about this recently, that there's a bar I love in New York that's gone. It was called the Way Station, and it was a Doctor Who themed sci-fi bar where all the drinks were named after different science fiction stuff. Like, you could go in and have like you could, instead of a Shirley Temple, you could have like a Temple of Doom. Like, there was all kinds of different stuff that was really nerdy themed. And they had live music and they had trivia for folks and stuff. And it was like my place that I would go when I would go back to New York and pilgrimage to, and their bathroom looked like a TARDIS. And inside their trash can was a Dalek, like inside the bathroom, which was hilarious. But like, to me, that was my like sort of nerd location back east, and it closed during the pandemic. And I didn't know about Scum and Villainy for years until I came out to one of your events after the pandemic. And I went, oh my God, like, this is basically like the West Coast, like, not version of that place, because it's different, different theming, different understanding, but same like vibe of just like people who are there to be chill, who are like people who love science fiction and who are hanging out and like having drinks, and who everybody's talking to each other across tables and stuff. And it's really cool. So like, I just want to say, if you're in the area, come out to that event at Scum and Villainy, not just because like I'll be there not winning trivia apparently, but because it's a lot of fun. Like, you get to hang out with the LA Ghostbusters, but it's also just a great place to hang out, in Hollywood. That's a lot of fun to be in and has a really cool vibe to it.
Oh yeah. It's like I said, it's our home away from home. It was our first official event where we announced ourselves as a group, and we love going back every year for our anniversary. And, JC messaged me and he said, hey, for Frozen Empire, I want to do something big. I really want to do something special.
Nice.
And I was like, we are in 100%. So March 24th, come on down to Scum and Villainy any time of the day. If you see Frozen Empire that weekend, bring your ticket stub or bring your ticket receipt and get a discount on your drinks.
I'm also going to say this. Every time you say JC on this podcast, it's almost weird to me, because the first time I ever heard his name in reference to Scum and Villainy was on Kevin Smith's podcasts, because Kevin Smith would mention JC, and because they would do, they may still do it. Fat Man on Batman, or now I think it's called Fat Man Beyond.
Yeah.
Is something they do there live, right? So, yeah, it's kind of strange when you say his name, because I'm like, wait a second. I listened to a podcast where that guy's name is mentioned.
Yeah. We'll have to get him on Extraplasm at some point.
Yeah, that would be cool, actually. It would be really interesting to have him on and sort of talk about the experiences he's had running some Ghostbusters events and things over the years at Scum and Villainy. That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, the busy times never stop, because only a few days after Scum and Villainy, we will be at We Can Be Heroes Comics in Chatsworth, California, on Wednesday, March 27th from 3 to 8, where we will be celebrating the new Ghostbusters Back in Town comic from Dark Horse Comics with our friends at We Can Be Heroes Comics and Abysmal Entertainment. There will be a meet and greet and signing with comic writer David Boer and actor and puppeteer Mark Bryant Wilson, who was a Slimer in Ghostbusters, as well as Robin Shelby, who was Slimer in Ghostbusters 2, and Billy Bryan, who was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters. Billy Puft, he's coming.
Oh, yeah. It's our buddy.
And yeah, we'll be there too. We'll be doing photo ops.
Yeah,
we'll
be there somewhere.
But we know that like the big talent, they're going to be over there. And when you're done getting your autographs, you can come over and take a photo with us and the Ecto Foxtrot.
I'm going to be crashing that event and signing autographs in the parking lot just for anyone who wants them. No one's going to want them, but I'm not at all signing autographs at your event. I'm totally joking, but I do intend to come out and check that out because I think that's going to be a really awesome opportunity to interact with, the writer of the new comic book. And that comic book, of course, is going to tell the story of how the Spengler family got back to New York. So like if you're watching the movie, whether it's with the LA Ghostbusters or somewhere else the weekend before, then you've got the opportunity to come out on Wednesday and talk with the comic book writer and essentially probably pick up a book. I imagine I even though the book comes out on the 27th, I imagine there'll be some discussion of getting books at the comic book shop or something. But there's an opportunity to meet up with David Boer. And if nothing else, like you can come out and hang out and say hi to Mark Bryan Wilson and, Robin Shelby and Billy Bryan. And those are all people who the last time I saw them in a room together was at FanFest in 2019 in the autograph signing room. So I'm not even sure if they've been together since then, but it's a cool opportunity to come out and see a bunch of folks who worked either behind the scenes or as performers on Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters 2. I'm not telling you they're going to be signing autographs, but I mean, I imagine you could bring something if you wanted to and see if they'll sign it, so maybe, probably, I'm not going to be like, hey, Mark Bryan Wilson, if you're out there right now, I just committed you to signing things. Sorry.
What? Wait a minute. I didn't hear about this. What?
But my deep hope for that, realistically, I'm going to just say this. I really hope that Billy Bryan brings Billy Puft. Because I've talked about this in the last couple of weeks of the podcast, that he has this giant Stay Puft puppet head that he's like using to do cameos with. And I think it's the funniest thing because whenever he does the voice, he's like, hey, I'm Billy Puft. And I just imagine that's the voice he has in his head when he's stomping churches. So I'm going to ask him. Like, I really may drive there just for that reason to say, hi, can you confirm or deny that the voice that you do when you do Billy is the voice that you did when you in your head when you were stomping on churches and little tiny police cars?
You're going to show up and be like, he's like, oh, hey, would you like a picture? No, Bill. I actually want to talk to Billy Puft. Is he here?
Yeah.
What?
Insist. I said I want to talk to Billy Puft.
Yeah. I'm not going to have Billy Bryan on the podcast as a guest ever. I just want Billy Puft on the podcast. I want to show up and like, it's like having David Bowie on as Ziggy Stardust or something. I don't know. Like,
it's like, what? What do you mean? I mean, okay. Yeah.
See, but that's what I mean is imagine if Mr. Stay Puft had that voice. Like that would be the strangest thing is like the big giant harbinger of doom who's come to destroy New York that's stomping down the street. Inside his head, he's like, oh, look, a tiny taxi cab. And that's what got me thinking about the Pillsbury Doughboy, right? Like that's his voice is like, hee hee. Everything he says is that high pitched falsetto thing going on, right? So yeah.
Did you ever see in Muppet Babies when they did Ghostbusters, like the parody or whatever, their version of it?
Oh, years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So they did that. And then they had Miss Piggy was, I don't know what she was called, but she was something like, the Dough Girl or whatever, she was Stay Puffed in the cartoon. I was just thinking of that. She was like, I
need to look this up now.
It just popped in my head, and I thought
Now I have an image of Stay Puft marching down the street going, Kermie!
Kermie! Piggy, what are you doing? Oh, Piggy. Well, there's something you don't see every day. How about Kermit? I tried to think of the most harmless thing.
Yeah, Fozzie would be Ray, I think.
Fozzie's gone bye-bye. Fozzie's gone bye-bye, Sam the Eagle. What have you got left? I'm sorry, Vickman. I am terrified beyond the capacity for rational American thought.
It's almost as if your Instagram handle is Matt Does Voices.
I do voices. I don't know if you know about this. Yoda, there he is too.
Are all of these characters making appearances at We Can Be Heroes? Will you be doing this on demand?
Yes, I'll be walking in as Seymour Skinner. Hello, Ghostbusters. I just want to let you know you all have detention. Seymour! Oh, Vice Principal Chalmers.
It's Super Nintendo Chalmers.
That's a Super Nintendo, yeah.
I think that you definitely need to start doing some Fozzie Bear Ray Stantz cosplay. Like if you don't show up at something in that full suit and do that voice to people, I don't know. You're doing it wrong. I'm sorry.
The polka dotted bow tie and the little cap.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. You got to do it. That's something has to happen now.
Waka waka. All right. So the busy train we go from the screening on the 21st at AMC Burbank, please come out for that, to Scum and Villainy on the 24th, please come out to that, bring your ticket stubs. And then on the 27th, we have the event at We Can Be Heroes Comics on the 27th. And then on the 29th, Miguel, where are we going to be?
Well, we're heading from Chatsworth in California's beautiful San Fernando Valley all the way out to Orange County to WonderCon 2024 at Anaheim Convention Center. And how many years have we been doing WonderCon?
Oh my gosh.
It's a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I think since we started. Yeah. WonderCon's always been a really great convention for us. There's a huge turnout. We have a lot of busters that show up, a lot of fans. And it's just a blast. I think that was like the first time we did WonderCon. We had the ECU there. Right? I think we had,
I believe you're right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we were just like full.
That's your ecto containment unit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been a really big hit with the attendees and stuff. So, we'll be there March 29th. That's Friday to March 31st, Sunday.
Nice.
And tickets are on sale. Well, badges are on sale right now for WonderCon. You just need your Comic-Con ID. If you don't have one, just sign up for one. Mm-hmm. Tickets are available. So they should be, and they're pretty reasonable too.
Do we have a booth number yet?
Yes, actually, I was going to get to that. We are booth number 1192. We will be in, we'll be with like the 501st and other fan groups, cosplay, costuming groups. Yeah.
I think that was the number we had last year too.
It could be, but we're usually in the cosplay area.
I've never been to WonderCon.
Really?
And I was going to come the year of COVID, and then I didn't come because of, obviously none of us went to it.
Yeah.
I want to come down to WonderCon, but one of the things I've thought about would be interesting for years is that, there's like PKE Surge on the East Coast, right? Mm-hmm. There's like that event that happens in Atlanta that kind of is alongside Dragon Con. And I have said for a long time that it would be cool if there was some sort of like West Coast event that existed that was kind of like the analog to that. And often there's like, we think about San Diego Comic-Con as being the place where like sometimes you guys would try and run an event there, right? There was like a cross-rip event that you used to do there and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I personally think that there's like a potentiality. I'm not saying I'm going to ever run it, but I think it would be cool to develop some sort of like West Coast Ghostbusters meetup that is like approximate to WonderCon, like around the same period where you could be like, come to WonderCon, meet up with the ghostbusting community, Maybe there will be animated, actors there and stuff who are signing or whatever because it's WonderCon. But like you could make it into like a weekend or a week where you could come out, do it, hit up Disney while you're here. Like I don't know if you can wear your flight suit at Disneyland. I don't know if they allow that, but you could.
No, I can tell you right now. No,
deeply themed and other things. But no, I know
they'll shut you down right away.
Funny enough,
don't try that one for real. But,
don't.
It wasn't our last trip to WonderCon, but it was the one before, where after WonderCon we had packed up. Many of us were just really wiped from the day, and we were like, "Guys, let's go to downtown Disney. Like it's across the street, so let's just keep our cars where they're at, and let's go in and grab some food." And we went over there, and we were immediately stopped because they moved the security checkpoints back before you go into downtown Disney.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And they said, no, you guys cannot come in like that. And we're like, I mean, we could put sweatshirts on, like what's the deal? And there was like, you guys are clearly in costumes. And I've always been the person who goes, uniform. It's a uniform.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we were all so tired. We were just exhausted. We ended up, we went into the Disneyland Hotel and we're just like, forget it. Let's just go to like Trader Sam's or something.
I think we did. Yeah. I think that was, 1 year we did end up there. Because they're okay with that. But once you try going into downtown Disney proper, no, the security's right there and they'll stop. Yeah. I've actually had that happen to me a couple of years back. I was going to Disneyland with a friend, and we decided let's just wear costumes. This is before they had like their ongoing Halloween party. That's a separate ticketed event. We were just like, we'll just go walk around the park. It's like Halloween time, whatever. And I put on my flight suit, and then my friend put on his costume. And we walked up, and we're all kind of like excited and proudly walking up, like, we're going to go have fun. And security was like, "Hi guys. Are you planning on visiting the parks today?" And I said, yeah, we're going to go in. I'm like, are you here for the party? Or we're like, no, we're just here to walk around. It's like, well, actually you're not allowed to wear your costumes inside the park today. And the rule is like, I think you have to be like under 12 years old to wear a costume. And so we were like, okay. So we went back and changed. But, luckily with a flight suit, you can just slap, you can wear clothing underneath. You don't really have to do much. But
see, Miguel, what you should have said is that you have that Benjamin Button disease and you are actually 12 years old and that you were just hankering for a churro.
My inner child was here to go to the park today. That's how it should go. Yeah.
So, and we were bummed out.
Next time.
No, Jim, I just like kind of echoing what you were saying. That's something that I've always wanted to do, to have, or like just to see it pan out, is have a West Coast Ghostbusters gathering. And it's just never really coalesced. But it would be great. Just welcome like Ghostbusters from all over the place to come over and join us and hang out and just do a little gathering. That'd be great because there's a lot of Ghostbuster teams on the West Coast, and we don't meet each other because we just don't have an opportunity to, I guess. But it'll be amazing.
There's not sort of that big collaborative thing. When there is, it tends to be that we hope that something happens on the lot. So it's like we're hopeful that that Sony will do something, and then we all come out to that. And I think that it would be cool if we had something of our own that we sort of organize. And I've thought about this in multiple veins. Like I've thought of versions that could just be kind of like meet up in a variety of different places around LA for a day of like Ghostbusters-y tourism. Go on the Sony lot tour and then go over to the Academy Museum together, even though there's no Ghostbuster stuff over there. What's wrong with that? Come on, Academy Museum, get some Ghostbuster stuff. They don't have any. There's none in the whole place. But I mean, there's so much like screen history that exists around us that's so unique to where we live. I think it would be kind of cool to be able to organize that in a way and offer that and as an opportunity for fans to come together and kind of celebrate Ghostbusters and screen history and stuff together. That would be kind of cool. So I don't know, not something that I've organized yet, but it's a thing that I'm like now thrown into the environment and said exists in my brain and verbalized or vocalized to everybody. So now that means you have to help me with it. That's the deal.
Fair enough. We'll have a meeting tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
All right,
I'll bring coffee.
I'll add it to the Google Calendar.
Okay.
I know why you said 7 a.m. You know I won't show up.
Oh, I know. Well, neither will I, because I'll be asleep.
I'll end up being the only one in there. It's like, hello,
hey
guys, who does your taxes?
Are we doing the meeting in here? Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. No.
I think WonderCon is through. That's the end of the month.
That wraps up the March for us.
The March Madness.
Yes, and it's coming on the heels of Frozen Empire's release, so we'll still be dusting off some snow or ice on us, whatever.
Yeah.
You'll be thawing out.
You'll be thawing out, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to try to plus up the ecto containment unit a little bit and see if we can't frost it over. So we'll do some research in that.
And we're trying to figure out what would work without really damaging it. Because, we want to use it again. We just don't want it
we could just
we want it to open.
Yeah. We could just freeze it in a block of ice like that for the trailer reveal in what was that? Was that November or October?
Yeah,
when they sent us
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
No, it's funny. We didn't talk about this, and it's something that we should have talked about before we got into all this community calendar stuff we've been doing for a bit. But like you have had this relationship with Sony in terms of the marketing of Frozen Empire to some extent, where you suddenly received a package in the mail that was an Ecto-1 frozen in a brick of ice.
Yep.
You were the people who ended up revealing to us in the official capacity what the giant theater standee looked like. So as much as joke about you being hometown heroes, like you've also had a bit of a role like in the early reveals of some of the stuff for Frozen Empire. This is just a good question to throw out there. Like, how does that come about for you? How are you ending up in that position to sort of getting called on by Sony to suddenly be involved in these things?
It's weird because it's not something that, don't get me wrong, we are super honored to have that kind of affiliation over there, and we do not take it for granted. And, everybody we've worked with at Sony has been really, really great about, bringing us in and involving us. And it's been a blessing. It really, really has. I don't know how I don't know how we got to that point with them, other than just being, receptive to the stuff that they do send out, the stuff they send out to everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I wish I knew. But I think I speak for everybody at LAGB when I say that like we are super like humbled and excited and proud and happy to be thought of for those things. When we got the email about doing the theater standee display, we were like, "You want us to do what?" That sounded really cool. And when we shot it was very low key. Obviously, they don't want to like bring an entire film crew out there,
right?
I say low key, but there was still like 17 guys in flight suits with proton packs,
all in one car too. One Ecto.
There was that the clown car shot, which I was so glad got called out in the comments on social media. Someone was like, "How many people are in that car?"
Yeah,
we actually had I moved my seats in the car as far forward and as far back as they could to give us as much room as possible, and we just opened both doors and we're like, "All right, everybody, just file through one after the other." And I remember, I don't know who suggested it. It may have been the Sony rep who was there. But someone suggested that, and we were all, it's like, "Oh my God, that's funny." And
that's hilarious.
It was fun.
I was excited to see you all included in that and to sort of watch you get to reveal it, because I think that initially that kind of came out. The standee was like almost revealed accidentally. Somebody saw it and posted it. And so that you got to kind of do an official reveal of it to me was like, hey, that's cool. So, I mean, it's awesome that you've been involved in that. And I think that not to be like, I'm going to assign the rationale or warrants for why, but you've developed a relationship over there in terms of the charity work you do. You're over there getting donations from them, and stuff like where they are giving you things out of the closet that can go off to Toys for Tots or whoever else or Starlight or whoever else you're going to get it to when you're doing toy drives and stuff. And so I think you have built a good connection for being a responsible and friendly group of people who will show up and do things on a moment's notice. And if we say, hey, are you available? We are now.
Yeah. I thank you so much. That really means a lot to us. And I do think that you're probably right. It is probably all the above, but it may also just be, hey, can we do this thing real quick in our backyard? Who's the closest group? It's these guys. It could just be a matter of convenience of like, those guys are around.
But it is funny to me because I've said for years, that like, I feel like in some ways, a lot of my experiences on the lot have always involved you being there, that you were some of the people who were welcoming us all to Fan Fest. Standing outside
that was me. I was out there.
Band and stuff,
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was like, hi, welcome to Fan Fest.
And if you were just watching the special that they put on Hulu, you'll see Miguel, you'll see Jeremy, you'll see me way in the background welcoming people to FanFest in that what's it called? Oh, the Light 'em Up special.
Light 'em Up, yeah.
Yeah. I've actually not had an opportunity to check that out yet as we're recording this.
It's
cute.
Keep
telling me about it.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's good.
So we've talked a bit about what you've got going on through the month of March and almost all the way into April in support of Frozen Empire. You've got a lot of really cool opportunities. I'm hoping that people will come out and see you at Scum and Villainy and come and see you down at We Can Be Heroes. And of course, like come out to WonderCon and all these great events you're doing. And of course, if you're going to go see the movie and you want to see it a few days later, you should totally go see it with the LA Ghostbusters, because why wouldn't you? You can go get pictures with an Ecto-1 and then go eat popcorn out of an awesome trap popcorn bucket if it's available. But beyond,
while supplies last.
While supplies last, very important.
Yes.
Very important. Mm-hmm. Beyond the movie and the comic book, I'm sort of starting to wonder, like, what comes next? And I know that's kind of silly to think about. Like, we're just getting off of this movie, so what comes after it? But we know there's supposed to be like an animated series that follows. We know there's supposed to be other things that may come after this. And one of the biggest things is it's the 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters, right? So what are you all thinking about the 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters? Do you think we're going to see a West Coast event from Sony, or do you think there's things on the horizon that you're going to be doing?
I do know that the Buffalo Ghostbusters, they're having their big celebration at Hook and Ladder 8, similar to what they did last year. We were originally going to try to be at that with a Ecto road trip from Los Angeles to New York. That was in the works, but unfortunately, some personal tragedies on our side of things, and time, unfortunately, getting the best of us during that. We had to put that on ice, as it were, for now. That road trip idea might still happen at some point, but sadly, it will not happen this year. However, Miguel, we have something else coming up, don't we?
We are working on something, and this is an idea that I've had for a few months, late last year, and I said, I would love to see this happen, and I want to. What can we do? Like, what are the steps it required? And I got together with the rest of our admins, and we had a meeting, and this is, we're discussing the road trip and everything. And I told Matt, it's if that doesn't happen, we put it on the back burner for now, and how about we can focus our energy on getting something to recognize the 40th anniversary here at home in LA. So that's where it's still in the process. There's different facets to it, and we're trying to do it right, because this is a significant anniversary, and I think this franchise deserves it, and it's definitely something that it'll be for the fans. It'll be for Ghostbusters, the property, but it'll definitely be for the fans, and I hope that everybody will be able to enjoy it, and it might be something that you can come out here for to LA. So as soon as we get a little bit more details and cemented down, I definitely will announce it, just so people can plan and make travel arrangements, because you want to tell somebody, oh yeah, we're gonna do this thing, but it's happening next week. I'm like, yeah, but I want to come out to it. You know how much airfare costs, how much hotels. Like, yeah, I know, but it's just
I don't know anything about what you're talking about. It's not as if I've had to figure this out to go to a major city on St. Patrick's Day weekend and figure out where to stay and all those things. I don't know, but I'm gonna call it now though. You're having a sleepover at the Ghost Corps offices, aren't you?
He's on to us again. Every time.
Did you see my Amazon history when I was looking up? I mean,
was it Ghostbusters sleeping bag?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to find that the vintage one. Isn't there like a tent? I think there's like a real Ghostbusters camping tent or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had that.
I didn't get one of those when I was a kid, so obviously now I gotta have it.
Well, I am hopeful to see what you've got going on for the 40th, because I've said that I would like to be in New York for that, but I also realistically think that I probably have one New York trip in my bank account for Q1 and Q2 of 2024. I imagine I'm going to be here for the 40th. So to celebrate with you all will be really fun. So
yeah.
I can tell you that when I was really disappointed to have to come to the admins and say, hey guys, like, with everything that's going on, I just don't think that I have the bandwidth in me to see this through right now with the road trip. Because I had done some number crunching. I built a whole pitch deck, and it was going to be expensive. We were going to start going out to sponsors. And, with the loss of my grandfather, it just, my energy was just not there. And when Miguel pitched this idea to the rest of the group, I all of us were just like, oh my God, yes, that is so cool. The question now is, can we get the approvals? Mm-hmm. And I think we can say that we do have the approvals. Now it's about getting the fine details down.
Gotcha.
But once we get those down, we'll share it. But it's really exciting. Really
awesome.
Exciting.
I'm excited to hear about it when you're able. I mean, that'll be a good opportunity for you all to come back on and talk with us about that in a few months, hopefully.
Yeah. Maybe.
Oh, we want to we want to give you the exclusive to announce it when it's certified. It's locked in, and we have the pleasure of coming on here and sharing it with you and your audience.
I can't win trivia contests, but I can win exclusive information and news stories. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
Or an ectoplasm, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
An extraplasm. Yeah.
Extraplasm, yes. Mm-hmm. No,
I've jokingly said for a while that if we had too much of it, we could call it excess plasm. That's like my after show. If we were going to have like a Talking Dead style show that did the after show that reported on this podcast, it would be called Excess Plasm, and it would totally be excessive. Nobody should make that.
Yeah. You say nobody. I think someone should.
Nobody.
Yeah. No, if you're listening out there right now, don't do that.
Get in the comments.
There's like one guy who's like, I'm going to make that. And there's like 3 people who listen to it.
Yeah.
It's a podcast about a podcast. Weird.
I was joking around with the admins, and I was like, what if people, they have like questions about like, is there anything going on for GB Day or something? And I was like, and I immediately thought of this clip from 2010, the year we made contact, the 84 sequel to 2001. And there was a clip in there of David Bowman. He shows up on a TV screen, and I guess it's his wife or his widow, whatever. And she's like, David, is that you? And it's like, and he keeps talking. It's like, something's going to happen. And it's like, what's going to happen, David? And it's like, something wonderful. So I want to cut that bit and like put it and share it with people and be like, well, what's going on? What's going to happen? I'm like, it's something wonderful. And if you've never seen the movie, what happens is that I think there's 2 moons. There's an extra moon that we get at the end of the movie. Spoiler.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If it's 2010.
So you promising that level of 40th anniversary experience is going to be like 2 rainbows now over the Sony lot as opposed to 1.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And people who don't know what I'm talking about, like there's a literal like statue of a rainbow that goes over an entire section of the Sony lot, because that's where The Wizard of Oz was filmed, right? Legacy wise. And
yes,
I was living in Culver City when they had like just begun constructing the rainbow. And I moved out of Culver City just as they finished. And I was like, I have to move out of Oz. This sucks.
It's a sight to see. Yes.
I was riding out on a horse of a different color. It was just how it was. So as we sort of come around the back end of this conversation on Extraplasm, I want to ask you, because you are sort of the last people to have an opportunity to do it. I'm pretty sure you're going to be the last folks to come on Extraplasm before I see the movie for sure. And perhaps before the movie comes out, depending upon how our release calendar goes down, because to be real, like, I don't know how I'm going to handle it yet. That like the next episode of Extraplasm after this one will come out on Wednesday, the 20th, and I will have seen the movie already, but most people will not have. So I can't really reasonably come on and be like, let's talk about the movie you really want to see tomorrow, because that would be a horrible thing. So I'm not sure. You may realistically be like the last people who have an opportunity to sort of offer up your take on what you're excited about and what you're hopeful for before we see the movie. And then you find out that your hopes are actually affirmed, or that you're completely let down and sad and need to go type about it on the internet because you're really mad, because that's what Ghostbusters fans do apparently. I'm just kidding. You would never do that, but you get what I mean. But
I take that as a challenge, sir. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
I'm getting a whole new Discord. It's called Burn Down the Firehouse.
There's some irony.
Yeah. Brick by brick. Take it down.
So no, seriously though, what are you excited about? I mean, you've got this upcoming movie. We're so close now. We're basically a week away. So what are you most motivated about? What are you excited about? Miguel, we'll let you go first.
Well, first off, we're getting another installment in the Ghostbusters franchise. I don't know. There's so much going on there. I hope that there's still stuff that hasn't been spoiled in the commercials and the trailers and stuff. Cause you know, they try to make these trailers to appeal to everybody, but you know, for us, it's like, oh man, oh, what? Like, that's a spoiler. Like, I don't want to see these commercials anymore. I got to turn off the TV. And that's kind of how we were for Afterlife too. We're like, we can't see the last one. We don't want, there's too much revealed, but I hope that there's a lot more that we haven't seen yet. And I'm just excited to see who Garaka is and what he's all about, or it is all about, whatever he is, or she thing, whatever.
Yeah, it's whatever it wants to be.
Yeah, whatever it wants to be, yes. But it's exciting. It's really cool because we're getting another, and apparently all the ghosts that they've ever caught are getting released. So now it's like, oh, you gotta get back to work, and we're gonna need more help.
That's what's funny is that I said this on the previous episode that I've been excited about the movie, but like in a way, like sort of watching it reveal piece by piece has meant that I have less surprise in a way, and like less like sort of spontaneous, a joy coming out of something I saw. And then I saw like the final trailer, and it was just this graphic. It popped up and it just said the ghosts are all out, or whatever it said. I can't remember what the words were. But it was just like every ghost they've ever caught. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. And my real hope, even though it's not going to happen, is I want to know if that includes like the Christmas ghosts. Like, are we going to get those 3 ghosts from the real Ghostbusters who show up as like the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future? And like, we got recaught a second time. We had to get out with this time again. But yeah, I'm so stoked about that whole concept of like everything they've ever caught, any villain we've ever known. Imagine if you watched a Batman movie trailer and they were like, it's not the Joker, it's not Mr. Freeze, it's the entire Rogues Gallery. Like,
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to get handled, because part of me, so way back when it was still called just Firehouse, there was a rumor going around that Vigo was going to come back, and there was some, someone had thrown out some logic of how that could be, and I, not that I wouldn't like to see Vigo again. It's like, Vigo's cool, is a cool villain. I think the ending to GB2 is on the anticlimactic side for me. I still really enjoy it. But I was kind of like, we just did Gozer again. And, that's my only real criticism of Afterlife is, man, we're going back to old villains. Like, why don't we get some new stuff? Like, I really want the new stuff. But you know, it was kind of the Force Awakens for Ghostbusters. It was, let's get back to the meat and potatoes. Let's remind people what this is, and then we'll do all the new stuff. So I totally get it from that perspective, and I don't hold that against Afterlife at all.
Let's not make it a Rise of Skywalker and somehow Vigo returned.
Yeah.
No, we're going to make it Rise of Skywalker. And what's going to happen is that all this stuff we've seen... No, it's everything we've seen about Peck is going to be a complete mislead, because he is actually going to be somebody who's spent the last 40 years tapping into the paranormal himself. And from the mayor's office, he's going to project a giant image of himself to fight against Garaka. And that's how he's going to save the day.
The EPA saves the day. Yes.
But it's going to completely take him out after that.
Yeah.
He's going to be spiritually exhausted, and then he's just going to fade away afterwards. That's
I wouldn't mind seeing Vigo again, but I remember when I read that rumor, I was like, gosh, I hope that's not true. I really hope that. I think it's possible that we could see Vigo again in this new movie in some way. But considering that he was never trapped, I don't see why. Like the painting was destroyed, and then it reformed as the portrait of our four heroes and baby Oscar. So I don't see, like, if Vigo showed up, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because it's like, well, he was never trapped. So why is he here? But that being said, I really, from everything I've read and all the interviews, especially with Kumail Nanjiani, who says that this takes a lot of inspiration from the animated series. I've always felt like the Ghostbusters franchise survived for so long with the animated stuff, you know, with real Ghostbusters. And I know that it was criticized at the time, but Extreme Ghostbusters as well. I really loved that show growing up.
That was a great show.
And so I would really like to see it go down a road that more closely adheres to that. You know, I would say the tone of the films with the stories of the animated stuff, or even the comic stuff.
Right.
Because I've always felt like, I mean, there's unlimited things you could do with this. Sure. And it would be a shame to just keep rehashing the same, like, 2 to 3 villains over and over again. Let's get something new. And that's why when we saw the first trailer, where it was just the death chill, you know, we didn't know who Garaka was. I was just like, yes. Oh my gosh, this looks like an episode of the animated series in the best way possible. And I think for me, that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most. And I've seen the clips out there. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen these clips or these TV spots. The Possessor. There's a shot where there's a sequence where it leaps into a trash can and possesses a bag of trash. And I just want to give a shout out to the animators who, and I don't mean the compositing artist. I mean the actual animator who had to keyframe animate a bag of trash running around. It looks so silly and so stupid in the exact same way that Mr. Stay Puft is kind of stupid.
Right.
Like, it's so funny. There's they gave it like little feet on its corners.
What's funny about it is that it's the thing you can do in Spirits Unleashed.
Yeah.
Like, as a ghost, you can possess the trash bags and you can run around the same way.
Yeah.
So like when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's funny. That's like straight out of a video game I've played way too much of.
Yeah.
Like I have done that action with my character.
Yeah.
I've jumped into a trash bag in that way. And I'm not sure if that, like, somebody took a nod to that, you know, like if anybody studied that as notes, like, hey, let's make it consistent from the game to this. But it's very much like beat for beat, kind of almost the same thing. And I appreciated it in the sense that, like, Gil and, Jason talked about the idea that the video game exists in a soft canon. With the movies. Yeah. So to sort of see like some of what I've been doing for the last year and a half as a ghost in a video game appear in the movie, I was like, well, of course, that makes sense.
Yeah. The other thing that gets me really excited was in the second trailer when they showed the library ghost again. When she becomes that kind of more monstrous form and charges down the aisle of books, the way that her arms move, this is such a nerdy thing. The way that her arms move made her look like a rod puppet.
Yes.
And I got so excited because I think that kind of stuff, does the movement look real? No. But that's the whole point. It has this uncanny, like creepy, just like inhuman look to it. And the uncanniness is what makes it so effective. And I love that Jason and Gil, they get it in that regard. Like, it's one of the things that I loved about Afterlife was everybody's like, well, practical effects are always better. Well, a practical effect is better because you have a reference that can be enhanced later. And if it's best to use a practical effect and then also your digital tools to make it be the best thing it can be, but relying too much on one or the other doesn't really serve anybody.
No, agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was happy to see that they're using a lot of these practical effects that are just plussed up a little bit in post. Yep. There's a shot of Slimer's arm coming out of that bag of trash, grabbing like a snack of some kind. And I was like, that's a real arm. That's a real arm composited into that shot. And it looks fabulous. And, not to throw other movies under the bus, but like in other movies, Slimer was completely digital, even though they had a puppet on set. That puppet was completely removed and replaced with a digital one, and it just didn't look as good.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I've said this since his first reveals in the trailer that like the fact that Onion Head was back, like specifically that version of Slimer, like no disrespect to Ghostbusters 2 either, right? But like Ghostbusters 2 Slimer is a little more cartoony, a little more, kind of fun looking. And you don't see him very much. He shows up at the end driving a bus. But like the point is that you don't get, even when you look at the like deleted footage or like the stills from production, you don't get the sense of the same character because it's more cartoonish in its presentation. And I love the idea that like we're going to get back the OG version of Slimer and those kinds of effects. And the other person I'd throw a shout out to is Arjen, right? Like Arjen Tuaten, who's like had such a huge part in bringing so many of these characters to life, even from the Terror Dogs to the last one. He's involved in all this stuff too. And so I agree with you, like seeing these renditions of Ghosts we've seen before, but seeing almost like the updated rod and puppet style stuff we can do with better technology is so exciting and cool. And I mean, like, it's even stuff like, I like that we're going to go back and see like the lions, like from the public library. That's going to be CG, obviously, but like when you look even in the trailer, you're like, it looks real. It doesn't look like something that is uncanny in a negative way. And then if you watch those lions interact in a goofy, weird kind of terror dog way, it's okay because it all fits in the universe of like the paranormal moves weird. That's just kind of the way I always think about it. Like you want the paranormal to move in a weird way because that's what makes it off-putting and uncomfortable in a way.
That's a really good point. I don't think I've ever been able to articulate it as well as that. That's great.
Thank you.
It moves in a paranormal way, of course.
Yeah. Right. Like the terror dogs, like they can totally move in a stupid way because they're totally they're not normal.
They're monsters.
They operate
from
by their own
dimension.
physics and things. Yeah. Right. Like, so it totally makes sense that any of these things can do different stuff. If Slimer can move through walls, then why does his movement have to conform to, the actual bipedal motions of a human being?
Yeah.
Like, there's no
Does
reason
he need to
for
swing
that.
his arms when he moves?
Yeah. I mean, yes, like that's, so I'm excited about seeing a lot of this stuff too. I think it's going to be really cool to see ghosts, and I'm hopeful we're going to see some stuff we haven't seen yet ghost wise. Like the big reveal for us in Afterlife that none of us expected to see was like, all of a sudden Bug-Eye Ghost showed up in the middle of the movie. We were like, what the fuck? Right? Like,
apparently there were a lot more RGB ghosts for that sequence and they all ended up getting cut, which was a real shame because I was like, you got Bug-Eye, but like, where's Granny Gruesome?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really hoping for Fearsome Flesh.
Yes.
I want to see Fearsome Flesh. I want to see someone like in the sequence when the ghosts terrorize the town. I want to see some guy, some like, like total Poindexter kind of guy going into a public restroom and the toilet tries to eat him. And you see the guy's legs fly in the air and a shoe flies against the wall and you just hear a big bleh. Like, just lean into it. Go for it. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, that notion of every ghost they've ever caught being unleashed, is one that I think it allows for those kinds of potential things to happen.
Yep.
You know, I also think there's maybe a big part of this movie that ends up being a showdown at the firehouse. You know, that we may see like half of this movie happens outside the firehouse. And I think that up to maybe half this movie is going to happen inside the firehouse as a big, long drawn battle, you know, that to sort of save it. But
I kind of wonder if anyone has seen the film Krampus. The film Krampus,
I saw it.
Directed by Michael Dougherty. It's a really great like comedy horror flick. And most of that movie is just a family trying to survive Christmas Eve as Krampus and his minions try to break into the house and kidnap each and every one of them one by one. And you got like little gremlin, gingerbread men. Yeah, you've got like haunted
They're like
toys.
mini puffs.
Yeah, they really were. They were like the proto mini puffs. Like honestly, like if you just took that approach and it's the Ghostbusters trapped in their own firehouse.
Yeah.
But they have to get out. They have to get to, Garaka to save the city. But all these ghosts keep coming to them because they're the ones who caught them. It's like turning the prisoners on the prison guards. It's like, that's a real, like, Assault on Precinct 13, but it's Ghostbusters. Like, that's awesome. So I really hope that that's what we're going to get.
I really think it's going to be really amazing. And if nothing else, like by the time I see you, we might all know who Emily Allen Lind plays. I think she's like the one person left who we're like, what role do you fulfill in this movie?
She's not the model who's playing Garaka, right?
We don't know.
Because there's somebody who's like a fashion model who the theory is that they're the body performance of Garaka. I don't know if it was her.
Oh, like motion capture or something?
Yeah,
maybe?
like the on-set reference or something.
Well, that when they did Afterlife, if you think about how they did Gozer, you got Olivia Wilde, right? Was she played like sort of the human form of Gozer, but then the decomposed version of Gozer was like a ballerina, I think, who did the body motions, and then they also had like another performer who was doing like the voice for that, you know, so I think there was like a composite of maybe 3 or 4 different performers, again, creating this sort of unnatural sense, right? Like it's not enough to use one performer to create that. You've got to sort of disembody the performance in a way and then recomposite it in a way that comes across as weird and creepy. So it's like, you don't get Olivia Wilde's voice saying, you know, are you a god?
Yeah, you
get somebody else.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, one last thing I want to add to it is Janine Milnitz. She's finally in uniform, and she's sporting a new piece of gear, a new piece of equipment, which is the wrist like proton blaster, which was actually something that they storyboarded in the original in the '84 film that we never saw.
Right.
Yeah. So this is like, oh, finally they're doing this. This is awesome. So I'm excited to see her in action.
I think that the reason most franchises are excited about that is because they're going to start carrying a lot less gear on their backs as they get older. Because finally there's going to be some handheld thing you could take that busts ghosts. That's going to be the thing at the Dragon Con parade, like a year from, if not this year, then next year, they will be like, oh, I can't take my proton pack on the plane, but I can take my proton wrist beam.
Yeah.
And then somebody's going to make a mashup and it's going to be like the Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From
I have
Avengers.
Said, my hope was that device was a big, like Neutrona glove, and that she was just going to be out there punching ghosts. And just giving them knockout punches like she was Little Mac from Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And that's what I really want to see is like little Annie Potts up against big giant ghosts just doing super uppercuts with a big like ghost busting boxing glove would be amazing. And I called it, I think was it the Boson Punch?
The Boson. Hey, that sounds like a drink.
I actually
should have that. It's coming to Italy.
I actually think that that's kind of what that's going to be. Not the punch, but I think it's going to be like an adaptation of the boson dart from the video game.
Yeah.
That it doesn't have enough power to wrangle something, but it can, immobilize it with, like a blast.
Right.
It disables it, long enough.
Yeah.
It's like Tony Stark's. It's like Tony Stark's little wristlet that pops out. You know, when he's got the one glove that shoots out of his hand when Winter Soldier tries to shoot him at point blank, and he just puts one hand up, and he doesn't have the entire Iron Man suit that comes out of him, but there's like a little shield that comes out of his hand when he's in his suit, and you're like, what? How do you do that? So yeah, I'm kind of intrigued to see what that device is, and I think I agree with you. Like seeing Janine Melnitz finally busting ghosts, as opposed to answering the phone in one movie and falling in love with Egon in an unrequited way, and then totally becoming like a sex panther in the next movie who just decides she's going to go for the nerdy accountant. Right? And you're like, whoa, this is a very different version of Janine in the last movie.
So you want to play Bagel or Super Mario Brothers?
Yeah. So, and that's somebody's going to make business cards now of that, like Ghostbusters business cards. Janine Melnitz, secretary, sex panther,
Ghostbuster. Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. We're all going to see this movie, and I wish I was going to be seeing it for the first time with you both, but I won't be this time. But I'm hopeful to see it with you, potentially on the 21st, and come down and do that in Burbank, because that'll be fun. And then I feel like I'm going to see you all week that week. I'll come down to that. I'll come down on the 24th to Scum and Villainy. I'll come out on Wednesday the following week to come down to the comic book release. And by the end of it, you'll be like, why does that guy keep showing up?
Why isn't he just a member of LAGB already?
Oh, wait, how many times have we had that conversation?
Yeah. Both on
we'll
and
have
off
the
the
parking
air.
spot for you when you're ready.
I consider.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Checks in the mail.
I appreciate that you essentially treat me like an honorary member a lot of the time when I come around, and you slap a sticker on my arm and tell me it's my temporary badge and tell me to jump in every photo with you. And it's always very kind. And that's because you are nice people. And I will say this as sort of the final thing before we sign off this week, as a reason why people should come out to see you. When I first came out to conventions, I was very intimidated. And I think it can be very intimidating to engage franchises if you're a new fan, because you don't know everything and they do. This is sort of how things feel. Like, I have a spirit pack and I have a this, and you can feel very overwhelmed by sort of the intensity of some groups that are like, nope, you got to be dressed right. You got to be doing things right. And one of the things I love about you all is that you have sort of expanded this rookie network that you have. You've grown your organization. You are a very welcoming group of people who make things a lot of fun, and that you're not on your high horse ever about the fact that you are really good at the things you do with charity and everything. You're a very humble group of people who generate a lot of fun around you. And so thank you for that, because I get to like appreciate that, even though I can't win trivia anymore, apparently. But I digress. I'm kidding. But
you
like,
won
I really
the grand prize.
Yeah.
You won that Temple of Gozer thing.
I know. I was going to win 5 more grand prizes. I'm kidding. But hey, look,
do you know what we went through to get that?
I think that the last person who won against me is a person who then joined your organization and is also no longer eligible to compete either.
Yeah, that's also, this is also true.
I made jokes about that. I was like, oh, good. He joined you. That means he's cleared the field so I can keep winning.
It's true.
but
not anymore. Not anymore.
But
sorry,
you do generate a lot of fun and a lot of goodwill. And I'm very lucky to be able to be so close to a franchise that does so many wonderful things. And I can't wait to see you later on this month. Anything, last words, final things you want to say for this week to the listeners of Extraplasm?
Eat your vegetables, brush your teeth, get plenty of sleep, and get to work on time. It's something that I'm working on personally, but I'm encouraging everybody else to join me in that challenge.
Right. I love that you were like, no, it was about Ghostbusters. No, but I can prescribe what you should do for yourself in terms of your diet and your punctuality at work.
Yeah. Yep. I read all that in a book called Baby Steps, and it's helped me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Everybody,
I'm going to try those.
Yeah.
I'd like to second that and say, kids, get out there, eat your vegetables, and get some exercise, at least 60 minutes a day if you can, and get to sleep on time. Listen to your parents. You can find me on all the social medias at Matt Does Voices on Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, come on out to the events. Please come out to the screening. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get some prizes from the theater, maybe some popcorn buckets. We'll see. Cool. So yeah, please come on down.
Mm-hmm. Well, as we close this up, I'm going to offer up the advice that you should drink too much coffee. You should go and buy the Slimer and Ghostbusters themed Rice Krispie treats and eat all 8 of them in the box at once. And then you should go buy the super ghost hot flaming Cheetos. And then you should eat the entire bag. And then you should get really sick. And then you should take a rest. And then you should go see the movie. That's what we've said we should do, right? Be healthy, show up to work on time, get really sick by eating sugar, and
he's basically turned into a pukey.
Hey, that's what I was going for. If you do that, then you can cosplay as that.
Oh, look at I like your costume, man. Ugh, whoa, that was realistic. Oh yeah, sorry. I feel better now.
Oh wow, you sounded like Beetlejuice right there.
Don't
better.
Don't do as I say. Yeah. Don't do as I say. Generally speaking, in these respects,
do as I say.
Don't fill yourself with all this stuff. Yeah. I mean, well, to be fair, it's the opposite because I would never do those things, but I'll tell other people to do them just for my own amusement because I'm that terrible. But
so wait,
of course.
So wait, pause that, reverse it.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this has been a lot of fun as usual, gentlemen. It's good to talk to you both, and I will see you very soon. For everybody else, come out and see them as well. Remember, you've got several different events you can come out to in the Los Angeles area over the next month, and hopefully something really cool coming soon in June to hear about as well. So until then, we'll talk to you again soon, guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us, Jim.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's always fun to have you here, and we'll talk to you again. That about wraps up Extraplasm this week. I want to say thank you once again to Miguel Medina and Matt Zunich for coming on the show and chatting with us and letting us know what's going on the West Coast as we get closer to Frozen Empire. If you're in the area, if you're in the LA area or the Orange County area, you come on out, from Ventura County, come on out to those events that they've got going on in Burbank, in Chatsworth, etc. It's going to be a really great time, and you'll probably run into me there, so come on out. And that's not like the reason to come. Not like, come on out because I'm going to be there, but like if you're there, come say hi. I'd like to meet you and say hello. Beyond that, I want to say thank you as usual to Brendan Pearce of Badoochi Studios. Brendan, your t-shirts. I have t-shirts now that exist, and they're going to the premiere. And that I'm going to wear one like in events in New York. And that's because you made a logo. So thank you for that because you're awesome. And Brendan Pearce of Badoochi Studios, of course, of also Phantasm Toys is a great person. Support both Badoochi Studios and Phantasm Toys because Brendan rocks. And of course, I want to say thank you to Vaporwave artist MAGNAVOX, whose version of Ghostbusters serves as our theme song each week. And I said this at the top of the podcast, but I really mean it. Thank you to all of you who've been listening and tuning into Extraplasm since it started, because being here and being able to bring you this coverage over the next few episodes and to shoot things with Jason Fitzsimmons and to collaborate with him and to to meet up with our friends from Yes Have Some and hang out with them and whatnot is really a joy, and it's something that I get to do in large part because you all embraced what I am making. So thank you so much for that and for tuning in each week. If you have anything you want to share, you're in New York particularly, and you want to let me know that you're here, hit me at Extraplasm on Instagram, on X, Extraplasm Podcast on Facebook, extraplaspmpodcast@gmail.com on the emails. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube at Extraplasm Podcast as well. So everybody, stay relaxed if you're not seeing the movie yet, and if you are seeing it, be a good fan ambassador. Don't spoil it. Be a good fan ambassador. That's the word I like using at this point. And remember what Ernie Hudson tells us every week:
try to have fun, and always keep on busting. Take care.